All right, we're here for the Wilmington Land
I
Bank
wonder why I have so many.
Corporation Board of Directors meeting. It is 5:35 on December 17th. For a call to order, we have five of our board members here. Keith Alexander, Anthony Capiz, Juanita Neighbors, Charlie Toohey, and Sam Wells. And before we go on, if we could have, we have a couple of new staff here tonight. I'd like to have them introduce themselves. Shelby, do you want to kick us off?
Hi, I'm Miss Shelby. I'm the new administrative coordinator. I'm really excited to be here. And I don't mean that like cliche-wise. It's been great, like the last week and a few days. The energy and just the mission, being a part of like the conversations that are happening behind the scenes. It's been great. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and to meet all of you.
My name is Lynette Terrace. I'm the new operations manager. And I agree with Shelby. It's been a great experience so far. I'm looking forward to working with all of you. Thank you so much again for the opportunity.
You'll probably hear a lot more from Shelby, as she and I will be working with you to support the board. So that's one of the things I'll be working with Shelby, and then Lynette, fills the role that our operations person has in the past, Erica and Amanda before, making sure that our properties are well cared for, and then working closely with Elizabeth and any community issues that come up. And the whole team is really gelling together, and everybody's got everybody is connected to somebody else along the way. So it's really a collaborative process up in the office, and we're really fortunate to have this team together. So thank you for the opportunity.
Are we fully staffed, or will you be looking to bring more people on?
Now we're fully staffed. Yeah. If we did anything, we may, depending on how things go, an intern or something, but in terms of full-time professional staff, we're there right now.
Welcome to the team.
Yeah, welcome.
All right.
Free pizza.
So we do have a quorum present. No public comment, no comments were received ahead of time. So
We'll go on to item 3, which is review and approval of 5 minutes in your packet. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion or changes to the minutes in your packet from the last meeting? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. Minutes accepted. Okay, next item 4, which is report of the executive director.
All right, well, thank you. So this month you see a slight difference in the format, and I'd like to thank our chairman for making some good suggestions on how to improve that type activity report. So not necessarily a bulleted list of what's going on, but more of a narrative description of the key highlights along the way there. So I'll just run through some of those. So you met the new members of the team, so we're all set up and everything's going really well. Operations wise, we didn't have any property acquisitions or sales in November. So in other words, we didn't close anything. I should probably tweak that a little bit. We did, respond to the city. They had one request to move an abandoned vehicle. We're glad they reached out to us because it was far faster for the city codes or city building department to reach out to us and let us know that they had seen a problem, and for us to remove it rather than cite us and go through a violation process, which these days, the way the mail is moving, we find out probably after the compliance deadline. So we're glad to see that's going in the right direction.
Question.
Yes.
If we have vacant property and somebody in the neighborhood start parking on our property, that's not our fault.
There are a lot of things in the municipality that may not be our fault, but we bear the responsibility for addressing them.
Do we have no parking signs posted?
I don't think we have them over there, but we can call Osborne Street Garage and have the cars removed.
Okay, so none of us, I don't think we live in that area. So how would we know that these cars are parking on our property if we don't live around and see it?
Yeah, it's not feasible that we're gonna look at every property every single day.
Correct.
So Lynette and I are working on a wellness check of our properties for a more routine look at these issues. But even that, if we got around to once a month, we're not gonna find that car that's been parked there for a couple of weeks.
Correct.
So, but that's why we're glad to have the partnership with the city and having the city reach out to us to say, this issue came up, and it happens, the see-click fix process, anytime there's a complaint, Susan's not here, but she's developed a really good rapport with general services. So when there's a complaint about trash or litter that comes in, it's been coming over to us. And so we're really, we worked really hard this year to better establish those relationships, because it's far more efficient and effective for somebody just to send us a quick note about something, and we'll go out and take care of it, rather than generate the paperwork and the process that it takes to do a violation or to do a board up call or a trash pickup call. So we're just thankful to be going in the right direction. Let's see. Like I said, Lynette and I are going to be using our e-property program to do a little bit better at tracking our services. We did have a good call with the team that runs that program for us. On the co-development pieces, Will, do you want to give us the highlight reel on our co-development projects?
Yeah, so South End project, this is the 60, 70 properties owned by the land bank in the county on between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, Broad and Elizabeth. They received their Historical Resources Commission certificate of appropriateness. So it's all the facade designs, everything, how the streetscape's gonna look has their approvals for that. They still have a few things they're working with the city with in terms of some minor things for like 1 or 2 of the properties until they get their full approvals from planning and their full development plan approvals. But they've let us know that they are working towards a beginning 2020, Q1 2026 closing. That's their goal at this point. So that's where we are there. And in that cluster, we are starting a rehab of 79 Elizabeth Street, which has been basically demoed out at this point. We got our building permits to start interior work, but when we went in, it was originally set up as a 2-family house. It didn't really make sense. There weren't really enough space for bedrooms and such, so we ended up flipping to trying to convert it to a single family. So that's where we are with that. So a single family, 3 bedrooms.
Top line on the South End project, how many units and how many owner occupied units?
Right now it's 10 owner occupied units, 140 rental units.
Okay, spread over low-rise housing, right?
Yes.
No more big apartment buildings. They're not gonna be the 4-story things. They're gonna look like the neighborhood.
The largest one I think is 8 units at one of the corners on 2nd Avenue, but
I
everything
mean, if
else
this
is
thing gets
2
off the ground and
units.
if they've been hanging in here the longest, it's really gonna make a big difference here.
Yeah.
70 properties, that's a lot.
Yep. Especially combined with the new owner of the schoolhouse on Lower 2nd Avenue.
Really?
Yeah,
The
there's
school?
the school is a new owner.
Who's
Who's,
that?
I can get you the
No,
information.
but I mean, I thought the roof was closed.
They fixed the roof.
Wow.
That's
Looks like
terrific.
It was a
You know
godsend.
what I mean, school 17?
Yeah, complete godsend. I can get you the information for who the owner is, but there's a new owner there, and they've rescued the building essentially
Jeez.
from demolition. So
Fantastic.
yeah, it was starting to get very concerning for city staff, and so good news. That combined with this, I mean, you really could see a transformation of that corner of the South End in a couple of years.
Yeah, for the new staff members, when you see, this school is on a corner of a main street in the South End. So it's been, very problematic for years, but it's a real signature
40
piece.
years. Many.
Yeah.
Is our South End project in partnership with Jaheem? Is that the same?
With the team.
Jakeem?
Not
Hope?
No, no,
Okay,
no, he's doing some scatter site, about
okay.
3 or 4 houses scatter site. There, he might have one down there.
I don't know, I thought his one was.
Mostly yeah, Second Street.
Okay. I thought he was doing something in South End. So.
Did we
He's doing-
And he
initially?
gave him some lots on Broad Street for something, right?
He's doing the Black Masons building, I think.
Yeah, well,
That's right,
That's
on
on
Madison.
Madison,
Madison,
next to
yeah.
us on the Cultural Center.
Yep.
Right next
Okay.
to 135 South Broad.
But was 79 Elizabeth part of Legacy Cities? I mean, is that one of the ones we pulled back out?
Yeah, it was kind of in Legacy Cities for phase 2. That
Yeah.
just that hasn't gotten off the ground yet. So, yeah, we pulled it out of that and have gotten a head start on it.
Yeah, it might have been one of those, maybe one of those ones that could have gone in that direction, but because Legacy Cities is not moving very fast, we decided to recapture some of those ourselves.
Yeah. So that one's fully demoed on the interior. Big, huge water issues there. A few times we had to create some temporary drains. If you went in, you could see in the second floor of the kitchen, just these big tubes, just going from the roof out the window. So it's a good thing that we're finally getting that one started. Yep, so that's it for that one. Henry Johnson, Clinton Avenue. That one, they had their meeting with the state, and things are going well there. So they're moving along with their approvals with the state at this point because they have all their approvals from the city. Still, some things they're working through is trying to get tangible brownfield credits for the sites at the corner of Henry Johnson in Clinton, because those were former brownfield sites that were done to a commercial level to put commercial there, but not a residential level. So they have to do some more work there. But yeah, that's moving along. And then Ontario Street, we have a meeting tomorrow with ACDA just to, in the city, to keep them apprised of this project. And they are getting they've put in what they need for their planning approvals. So we're just waiting for dates and comments on those initial.
And the two pieces that we're pulling out of that cluster, remember that the board approved those. Those are moving along. There's a little bit of a hiccup in trying to get the title insurance squared away, but our title company that we work with is very used to it. And so actually I went to Will today, said, hey, can we get a phone call? And Will's like, he's already got it handled. They're gonna start that conversation with the other title companies so we can get that wrapped up and moved along. We have gone out to clean that site up pretty significantly. The approach of trying to put up walls and barriers, keep people from getting back there, only hid the fact that people were back there. And so all that has come down. John Walker and his team have been cleaning that area out. We did have to let people know they had to move on. We had a shed back there that somebody was squatting in. Had gone so far as to bring furniture in, into this place. So we're looking forward to moving that along because that's been a real challenge in the neighborhood with transient folks.
And then First and Second Street, the flip the block program. I just had a meeting last week with a modular home company, and they gave me some numbers for how much they thought it would cost to put in a similar type of home that we would put there otherwise stick built. So they gave me those estimates, and I am working with Fred Dargis, who's helping us with the construction numbers, and he's gonna plug them in and get us updated construction
What about
numbers.
the announcement from the governor's office? How does that impact this project?
The new pot of money at 60% AMI, we can get, so we've been asking for is more money for the 2-family houses.
Yes.
The governor's office has now delivered a program for us to be able to take advantage of that. So we've got to rework some of we got to look at the numbers, plug things in, see where we are.
It's a different grant program. I think we could still make it work with AHOP with just these 4. Because there's also a limited number of properties you can do at one time with the new grant. So I think if we split it up between the 4 single families and then the 2 families with this other grant, where you get up to $400,000 for 2 families.
So what would the mix be at the end of all this?
It would be what we had discussed, so I
Well,
think,
what is
I think it's 10 homes, 17 units, so 7 2 families. And then 4
But
single
it was
families.
17 homes, 27.
No, you're right. So 4.
Well, that's a big difference. Geez.
I haven't looked
What
at
is
the numbers. Yeah, it's 17 and 27. 10 2-family homes, which would be 7 single-family homes.
This is a very significant thing that the land bank is doing here. That all these other clusters are being done by developers. We're doing this on our own because we're focused on home ownership. This is 100% home ownership project. Unlike all these other ones that are, 100 rental units and they get the tax credits and then they put 10 homeowners in, the lip service. So we decided on this particular piece, since we own all this land, that we're gonna do it ourselves. And so far, we're 100% that. But we've all recognized that a 2-family is the perfect starter home. And it's a much better situation for the tenant to have the landlord living upstairs as opposed to having some faceless organization that's from Syracuse or something. So we're fighting with the state to recognize that, because they only give money for single family. Why? So we're so happy that this is really big news, right?
Yes, yep.
Very big news.
Yep.
And so, and we want to be the first. We have site control in development. It's everything, once you own the land, you can go, right?
Yep.
And you're waiting on the numbers so that you can put in your application, right?
Exactly.
But right now, you haven't put in an application yet.
Nope, so, yeah.
So that's why we gotta get on the ball, because we don't wait on the guy from New Jersey
Right.
or the guy from Central Avenue, from home leasing. We're driving the bus here.
Right.
So every day we should be doing something that moves us the ball further down the thing. And the reason why we call it flip the block is why? Why we did that? We came up with that because absentee ownership is the bane of the neighborhood, right? Neighborhoods that were homeowners before, and then there's disinvestment, and then people move out and they can't sell their house because they can't get mortgages. So then landlords come in and say, cash for your house. So the block becomes absentee owned. And that's when the end begins, right? So what we're trying to do is go back the other way, to take the block and flip it back. If we could wave a wand, 51%, it's not going to be that much, but 17 houses on 2 blocks should make a difference, to say nothing of the homeowners that are already there that are hanging on by their fingernails saying, my neighborhood's bad. Well, no, it's not bad, because there are going to be 17 new allies coming in, and that's the whole point of us doing this ourselves. And we're the only land bank that I know of that's doing an entirely homeowner project. It's new construction in the heart of a neighborhood, scatter site. We belong to the Center for, what is it called?
Center for
Community Progress. The Center for Community Progress is this newsletter that tells you what's going on in every other land bank in the country. And every month I read it, and every month I look for, where are the homeowners here? Everybody comes up with these creative uses of vacant lots, and it all sounds good, but home ownership is the name of the game, And so we're really happy that Springfield is doing some new housing, but they have a big piece of land. And so when you look on their website, they say, oh, we're gonna build 20 new houses on a big piece of land. Well, that's nice if you got a piece of land. What we have is a lot of little lots, okay, which is difficult, but it's really impactful on the people that are already there. And that's why what we're doing, reseeding the block with new homeowners, flipping the block to an injection of homeowners, should be a game changer, to say nothing of the 10 tenants that will now be living in 2-family houses instead of some absentee landlords there.
And it could be extended family members,
Absolutely,
so there's
absolutely.
a lot of good
These are
things.
generally 2-bedroom apartments, not 1, not 3, 2. and that's for like single head of household and a child, maybe, or the way the house is designed, the rental unit's on the ground floor, so maybe the mother, an elderly person, family member would live in the apartment downstairs and the owner would live upstairs. That's the way the house is designed, so the rental unit is handicap accessible.
Sean, which governor's, programs, is this block by block?
Yes.
It just came out.
Yep.
And
That's the
and
$60
Adam
million.
told us to hold on. We've been lobbying. The previous guy that was running the thing here, for the staff members here, he went to the governor's office and we said, Adam, if you're in the governor's office, you got to do something for us, right? And what that means is that the state agencies, they go by the regs. We can only do this, we can only do that. But if the governor's office says, we want to do something,
It's done.
you're done, right? And I always like to say, if it's not in the regs, call it a pilot project, right? Call it a demonstration project. And then suddenly they go to the ribbon cutting and go, wow, this is terrific. And then the politicians go, we're gonna take this statewide, right? And so what we wanna do is be the first on the block. We wanna be the ones that do it first. So that they go, wow, look at Albany, they're really serious about homeownership.
Well, I'll give, and to Will's credit too, we talked before that announcement was out about getting out to the modulars and start figuring out what is the modular we're going to do, because we wanted to line that up,
That's right.
and then everything he's doing on 257 Second, which is in that cluster,
Yeah.
which is gonna be, rehabbed and sold. That's just important to get those done, because we're waiting for the next round of LBI 2 funds, for which we have to spend 75% of our last grant down to be able to come in for the next round. So we're sort of in this in-between holding phase to get that money spent, so that way we can come back in and start on those single families, and now with block by block, come in and look at the 2 families.
That's right. And if you heard what he just said, it doesn't have to be everything at once. We're sort of doing it piecemeal. And you can say, well, that's not efficient. But in a way, when you're rebuilding a block, a lot here, a lot there, a lot there, it's piecemeal anyway. And so rather than to say, we gotta wait for every damn approval to get this whole thing going for X millions of dollars, we're gonna start with property that comes our way, with the singles instead of the doubles, just keep doing it. Because once there's activity on the block, then people have hope. They go, geez, the land bank really does do something here other than have boarded up buildings with their signs on them, which is what they're used to.
And we're getting the boards off the buildings.
Yeah,
Get people into it.
yeah. Well, they got red X's on them now, so from the fire department.
Yeah, well, we're working on those too. Anything
What
else
else?
for you, Will?
Nope, just that 257 is pretty, they got drywall in, so they.
What's 257?
257 Second Street's in that cluster.
Oh,
It's a-
okay. We're still
a
talking about that
building we
cluster.
currently
Okay,
own.
yep.
Yes, so we're rehabbing that one.
Yeah, there's an example. See, we're doing something on the block that's separate from what we're trying to do with the state, which takes forever. But we're doing something.
And there might be an opportunity
Exciting,
next door, I think. we were talking
Okay.
about, So,
Which block is 257 Second Street?
It's between Henry Johnson and Lex.
Okay.
so the police headquarters sits between Second and Third.
It should be on the block where I did 9 houses, between
On
Henry
the other
Johnson
side.
and Lark.
Mhm.
That block has 9 two-family houses that we built a number of years ago. And it's a
Correct.
completely different feel.
Mhm.
9 homeowners there, changed the block completely. And so it's almost like we're gonna go up across Henry Johnson and do the same thing up to Lexington, right? And so there's a before and after, right there. You can say, well, what is our project gonna look like in 2 years? Well, why don't you look at Henry Johnson between Lark and Henry Johnson, and you'll see 9 new homeowners. And how does that feel? And how is it working with the police department and crime and litter and everything else? It's amazing, what that does.
And then the last piece on the development side, 360 Sheridan Avenue, the Seat Center is still working on that. There was a delay in getting some special order hardware. For those who actually drove by, could see the hardware installed, so that's all set. On the community outreach side, Elizabeth did some work to get us a cleanup day in the south end. Unfortunately, the rain did not cooperate. and wash this out, so she's gonna put that on to the spring, but is working on some other pieces to be engaged with the community. And then just some information about our website, about what that's been doing. Our visits were up month to month by 1%. We had 3,300 visits to the website. Almost 2,500 of those were unique visits, so not somebody who came back around. So we did have a decrease, 17% of unique visitors, but they may just be finding out where they need to go a little more effectively and efficiently. The top 5 site pages that people are coming to, our landing page is usually the top, is all of the properties we have listed is the second. A little bit about our process, we're December property sales cycle, and then bids and proposals. And that's pretty consistent. There's not a lot of fluctuation between that. So any questions on the staff's work for
I
November?
love the new format.
Well, thank
I can
you.
handle it. No, what it does is it puts our clusters up in front of the board so that we can see where we are. And in fact, next meeting, maybe we should have the slide of the south end. You know, while we're talking about the south end, here's the 70 properties up on the screen. You know, so the board feels like every month something's happening here, right?
Just one thing to note, the Henry Johnson cluster, the Henry Johnson mural, couldn't tell if someone had pulled back some of the siding on the mural side of the building. Just something
Do we own
I
that?
walk, what's that?
Do we own the building?
Mhm.
Yes,
We do.
so just something to swing by and take a look at when you get a chance. It didn't seem too pressing
Okay.
or too big of an opening, but I couldn't tell what was going on there. So just something to
Okay.
keep an eye on.
They recently made repairs to the front siding, so
Yeah.
maybe it's time to address the side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Next item is report of the committee, finance, please.
Well, we just went through the finance committee. The finance committee approved the financial statements, but like I'll just hit the top notes here. So in your packet, you do have the balance sheet and the profit and loss. The first 2 pages are the balance sheet. That's a snapshot in time for the land bank as of the end of November. Probably the key lines I'll point out to you, line 8, is that we've got about $2.8 million in cash. It's actually a little bit more because if you add line 12 in, those are our T-bill investments. They will convert to cash every 4 weeks. We get some of that money back in, but we've been cycling that through. So, but anytime we can stop renewing 4-week T-bills, and that will just become liquid again back in 4 weeks down. So that gives us a good spot to be in.
Wait, Sean, are we saying that line 4 is all T-bills? Or is
Line
it part
12.
of? Oh, 12,
Lane 12.
gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, I see it.
And we buy the T-bills at a discount. So if I go in for a $250,000 T-bill, that's the redemption at the end of the period. And so we buy them at a discount and then we get
What
$250
interest
back.
rate are those?
To go back and look, I think they're not what they were in the summer, which was lower 5s. I think they're up around 5, maybe 5.4. I'll go back and take a look. Yeah, I stage those out at the beginning of the month for the period, and then go back and see.
And how many do we get at a time?
I do $250,000 every week, so I try to cycle $1 million.
And what's the
through.
cycle, how long do you hold it in there?
4 weeks.
4 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, so you gotta watch it every 4 weeks.
So we'd like to automate that a little bit more with
Yeah,
M&T Bank and just have those orders renew.
Yeah.
But I can go in and I can advance order those. It's, no matter what, it's better than what the bank's giving us.
Right,
So we just keep running that,
way better.
run that money through, and it's just, we're not getting rich on it, but allows us a little bit of flexibility and comfort, so. The grant receivables on lines 14 and 15, line 14, you'll see we have $200,000, and we did get the renewal for the Land Bank Initiative 1, 24-25 chunk of funding, so we'll do that by the end of the year, so that will wind down to 0. Line 15, that LBI Phase 2, the magic number you want to see there is anything lower than $450,000, because that means we can start going for the next round of money. That's 75%. So once we hit that, that'll be.
When do you expect to do that?
How far do you think we are? I just saw another.
Really hard to get it done by the end of the month. And I'm planning to get new invoices by the end of this week, so either by the end of this week or by the end of the month.
We've tried to.
By the end of the month, we can apply for money? Great.
We've been working with the contractors to acquire and store materials on the site because that allows us to get the expenses up, and then run that number higher. And it just means we're not waiting to buy it. It's just helping us speed up the time to get back.
Material.
Just the building materials and supplies, you know.
Are they
anything
gonna
they're
walk
doing.
if they're stored on site?
No, Will does an inspection every,
What kind of stuff is
Every
it?
2 weeks. It's like, it's wood, sometimes it's flooring, it really
Flooring?
depends on
Lumber,
which part.
lumber generally.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
and they also have they have their own warehouse for a lot of stuff, but,
This is for a house we're rehabbing,
yes,
so the stuff is inside.
it is inside.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Oh,
for
sorry.
oh, no, it's
I
not
was picturing lumber on the street.
no, it's all secure.
It's either in the
Okay.
basement or. they
Okay,
have
I
their
get
own
it, I get it,
space, yep.
okay, thank you.
So that just allows us to spin that up a little bit more. Last month, there was a question, I think Dave Rowley asked, and it was down on line 30, about the right to use asset, and that is our lease. I would double check that and verify it. That number will adjust during the audit and the year end, because line 30 in the balance sheet and then line 57 on the balance sheet should be similar, but they're not. So they'll have to tweak those numbers, and that's just we record a right to use asset for the lease of our office space, and we record an offsetting liability for the money we owe on that. So, what are we counting? Let's see, line 70, net revenue, you still see that we are relying on $457,000 in net revenue to support operations. Again, a lot of that comes back to the revenue from property sales, and we're trying to close the gap on that by the end of the year. And then there was also the amount of income or revenue from the co-development projects that was expected to come in this year that's not going to. That's probably exclusively where we are having the hardest time making it up, because that is.
Takes forever to get going.
Right, and it was just a larger number. It was somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000 for that co-development revenue. So that's really what the delta is on that. Any questions on balance sheet? I'll switch over to the profit and loss. So that is how we're doing over the course of the month, and how we are performing against the budget. So the overall, nothing terribly exciting to report. While revenues might be down, we're also under budget on expenses, with the notable exception of we're about $1,500 over on office supplies, and on line 105. But some of that is just where those numbers get booked throughout the year, and we're improving that. Shelby and I are working on those to make sure that those are all booked in the right places, and not leaving, letting the accountant or somebody figure out where it should be booked. So, but the bottom line remains the same. We're overall we're under budget on the expense side. We are on the revenue side as well, but we will need to. You'll have something down the line tonight on the agenda to recognize the need to amend the budget to allow us to account for that use of fund balance as well.
Any questions? Diane? Okay, next item on the agenda is acquisition and disposition. Consider a resolution authorizing the sale of one property.
Did we want, I'm sorry, to back up, want to approve the board approve the financial statements for November?
I wasn't aware we had to do that, but we can.
Will you do that, Michelle?
No.
No, okay.
It's
Thank
once
you.
a year maybe, right?
Just the budget.
Yeah, just
Just
the
the
budget,
budget.
right. This is an FYI for people
I'll
who
strike
like
that.
numbers. Okay, do I have a motion to consider the disposition of our real property?
So move.
Motion.
Second.
What was the other one?
Delaware.
Oh, right. We reviewed it in the acquisition and disposition committee. It was a change of the Delaware properties to, it was a
You have
program.
applied for it?
Yeah, well,
Oh, you
yes,
got
I
two up
have,
there, good.
I
You're up
can
there.
show it to you guys up here. This was,
That's fine.
So we'll start with the first one that's on your matrix. That's 407 First Street. This is, we demoed this a couple of months ago with LBI2 money, the same money we're using to rehab those two homes that are in our clusters. The neighbor across the street is asking to purchase this property. They do qualify for a spend a little, get a lot program. So their offer amount of $100 actually is what the program allows for the asking price. Their income is over the threshold that would allow them to get help with closing costs, but the offer amount is in line with that program. This applicant's bought properties from us before.
The comments at the end are the most important.
Yep.
So everybody can see that.
Is this matrix also viewable on the live stream?
I don't
This
think
isn't
so.
Don't
competitive.
think so.
This is the selection.
I know, but I'm just saying if it's gonna be, because we went from saying applicants' names to numbers, so if we're putting this on live stream, we should probably block out
Oh,
the.
Yeah,
it-
you're right, you're right.
It's not on the live stream.
Okay.
Yeah,
But you're right. I was thinking that because it was the final applicant, but even then, it
Yeah.
shouldn't be. You're right.
it's not though. I've definitely
Okay.
checked before. Like when we did the lottery, that wasn't up there. Yeah. So yeah, this applicant's bought properties from us before. Has done a good job of basically cleaning them out, putting up benches, making them look really nice, and taking care of them. So that would be the plan for that applicant.
Yeah, and A and D, we approved.
Yep.
Good.
Second one is one that we're bringing back, 818385 Delaware Street. This applicant was originally approved for a purchase price of $250 for each one. They came back to us saying that were having trouble with the closing costs. We looked at their application and saw that they actually did qualify for spend a little, get a lot, plus some closing cost assistance based on their income. So we did want to bring this back
We can't read the whole thing. Right there, okay.
just to get approval by the board to make sure that's okay that we move forward.
Right. Okay.
So pretty
Any
easy.
questions?
These ones.
Any questions on those dispositions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Resolution passed. Next item is new business, no, enforcement and compliance. Do we have one for that?
No, just the committee met, and.
We didn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good news, right?
Yep.
New business. A, consider a resolution to amend the 2024 annual budget. Is there a resolution in the packet?
I thought it was, and I.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look.
Might be an oversight. I'm not-
Yes,
no.
there is.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
I don't have a discussion piece on my part, it's just the same story. I said, we'll dip into some of the fund balance at the end of the year to balance out the budget and just make sure, because of the number, we just want to be transparent after talking to Michelle about it.
Okay, everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, resolution passed. Next one is approving the sale of personal property. I don't know what that is. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
I'll set, oh, there we
Sam
Selling
can
some
second.
ballpoint pen?
go.
We selling ballpoint pen?
So in the transition upstairs, there's some property that we received, there's also some of our own property. We went back just to look at our policy of disposing of property. Actually, the board had to approve of disposing of property.
What kind
So
of
we're gonna-
property is it?
I've got two printers, that's on the exhibit A. We got two printers and 4 frame prints. So you're welcome to come up if you're interested in them. But we did receive an offer for the 2 printers. One person, we only received 1 bid. We did put it on our website to make it publicly available. And then, so somebody has offered us $20.99 for 1 printer, $15.99 for the other. We're asking $40 for both, but barring
We're
this, they
making
would
decisions tonight.
they would be recycled, and they would be recycled at Staples otherwise.
I thought you were selling the furniture upstairs.
No. So we'll adjust this policy to get a little bit, so I don't have to bring a $20 printer to get a cell, but.
Yes.
It's funny because with the land bank, he says, we have some property upstairs. And we're so used to property, it's like houses and lots and everything.
Right.
What could be
It's
property
cash
is upstairs?
Yeah.
Then I thought of conference tables and leather chairs. and-
No.
Doll houses.
Your miniature
Tiny
houses,
homes.
Tiny
dioramas.
So, I mean, what we'll do with the rest of it, I don't know, we'll try to sell a little more time, but, after that, what we would do is donate that, probably like Habitat Restore. And maybe somebody will want it there, but, or if you'd like to make an offer on a framed picture of New York City, for your own home.
Well, point of clarification, I don't know that board members are allowed to purchase, right? Property from the land bank,
Yes, I believe that may,
if I remember my bylaws correctly.
Change the policy.
To get a straw purchaser.
exactly. No, but Sean and I did talk about maybe we, update the A&D policy for a more de minimis,
See, this is what you have when there's a lawyer.
de minimis threshold
Yeah.
for the personal property.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the time I've been involved with you guys ever, we've had this come up as,
That often
selling
we have
personal property, but we may just wanna retool that a little bit to give us
Yeah,
some more
I think before
flexibility.
if we dispose of some of these computers after it's useful, like, we'll recycle those.
Right,
Some of this was a little bit different because it had some residual value and we didn't want to just toss it, so. All right, that's all I got for you on that.
Great. See the resolution.
Did we vote on that?
Oh, excuse me. All those in favor of this disposition of this auction of the property, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained.
Ooh, y'all missed me.
Last two resolutions for architectural services, with TAP, who we worked with previously, but Will, in doing his due diligence, did reach out to others, and Harris Sanders also submitted quotes that were quite competitive. And so we hadn't worked with Harris Sanders on a project, and so we'd like to split the next two rehabs between the two of those. That's going to be Homestead and North First.
So we need two motions here.
Two motions, two resolutions. Yeah,
So
first one for TAP.
I'll move the first motion for 25 North First Street.
Okay.
Second.
Third. TAP, for anybody that doesn't know it, is Troy Architectural Program, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they're doing our cultural center on the south end, the infill for that.
Right.
It's very good. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. That one's accepted. D is for Harris Sanders. All those, motion to discuss this resolution. Motion,
Move.
second.
Second.
Any discussion? We just heard it.
I'm going to have to abstain because I'm personal friends with Dan Sanders. Okay.
Great. I'll say all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained.
And
Resolution accepted. Executive session?
I don't have anyone anticipated unless you'd like to call one.
I think we need to go over those prints upstairs.
The property. The property.
Yes.
Property. I will say, it's end of the year time, so I'll be catching up with staff to do their reviews. But I will ask the personnel of the executive committee to sit down with me and give me your uncensored opinions of how we're doing here. So,
Okay. And the bigger picture about getting more property, how that's inching forward and what's doing
Yep.
work around the Supreme Court decision, because all these properties are building up at the county.
Mhm.
Blight is not going away.
Right.
It's just this big pile of stuff.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, so county is doing right now, as I understand it, the title searches on the foreclosures that they have in process. I think it's 16 and 17, 18 and 19 are the 4 years. Because remember, the Albany County, it's a 4-year process.
I thought they shortened it.
And it's still a 4-year process from the discussions I had.
I thought McDonald had it shortened.
There's an expedited process
Yeah.
that the city is working on doing with the county, but
Mhm.
those 4 years worth of properties
Okay. It was in the pipeline.
they're already in the pipeline, they're already past their 4 years, so there's
Okay.
no need to
So
show.
as it stands now, they're gonna process it and they're required to go to auction at Albany High School. It's just an open auction,
All right,
which it goes back to why we have blight, because people buy properties and don't do anything with them.
Mhm.
So it's really a serious problem, and we're trying to figure out how to allow the land bank to have some sort of first refusal or something.
well, no, I think what we'd like to do is, especially where, maybe not so much on vacant lots, because vacant lots, the urgency isn't quite the same maybe as a vacant building, although it might be. I think we have to sort of, keep our ear to the ground of the community, but make some strategic acquisitions along the way, by coming in during the auction and bidding perhaps taxes owed. To
Bidding
allow
what?
us, bidding the minimum bid, which is taxes owed. The
Well,
minimum,
yeah, but if there's somebody who wants the lot, then we have to compete.
yeah, if somebody wants a lot, yeah, we're gonna be we'd have to compete for the lot, so. It's just, we're gonna have to think a little differently, because now we're gonna be potentially, up against people who are
So what are
also,
some creative ideas that are stewing around?
So can I ask a question?
yes.
Municipalities subcontract out services for everything
Mhm.
across the country. Can they subcontract out that project to a land bank?
The auction process?
Yeah.
They could,
But that wouldn't help us.
Well, if they gave title in order to have the transfers take place and we did the minimum bids and then did development projects,
yeah, we're still somewhat bound,
even with our other corporation,
yeah. Yeah,
could we
because
buy it from ourselves?
well, the issue,
I'm just-
I mean, it's all about equity.
Right.
That's right, it's how the state established a process to eliminate equity. And so the auction is going to be the way to do it, because if the property sells more than taxes owed, then there's equity, and that has to be paid. We're trying to not, I don't wanna speak out too much about it, because I have to talk to the county a little bit more to flush it out.
I don't mean for you, if it's something you're working on, don't do it.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out a way to get the land bank in earlier in the process through the mechanisms established in state statute.
Yeah.
Little, a little bit of artwork involved here.
Yeah, finessing here.
Mhm. But well.
Well, we have a strong case in the sense of blight and speculation. Why do, politically or optically, so, auction, boom, and then we find out 10 people bought stuff from New York City and they didn't do anything with it. And now the politicians are sitting there saying, well, the land bank would have taken those 10 properties for the same price or something like that. Or for something less, I don't know how much money is involved here. We don't really know, because the properties that the high value ones are the ones that people are gonna bid on in Bethlehem and Loudonville and all that. And we used to be able to get those,
Mhm.
which that's the part, that's why that's what the court decision was about, those kinds of properties. But the properties in Arbor Hill, West Hill, and the South End, we should be able to get them somehow, on an expedited basis.
Well, and I think that there's opportunity with the, with the sped up acquisition process, where the property is abandoned and goes through a process to document and determine that the property is truly abandoned under real property tax law. So there might be a faster way, because one of the things you can do is just walk away from it and deed it over to the land bank potentially.
Okay.
And so, it just, we have to be on our game. We have to be on top of it. We can't just sit back and wait for things to come to us. We have to think about this.
We have to be close to the county, right? Because they're processing all this stuff. You're sort of talking to whoever will listen to you in the county.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yeah, we talk pretty regularly. I was down, we had to do a corrective deed, so I had a chance to catch up with folks about a week or so ago. So, no, they're great partners. I mean, there's responsive, and I think it's been helpful that I've known a number of people from my prior roles and interacting with the county, so we didn't have much of a
He's
learning.
been around the block, so he knows all the places, which is very good. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So we'll get out so nothing else on the agenda tonight, no executive session, but we will get out. I was endeavored to do it today, but just the day got away from us. But Shelby and I are gonna put together the 25 schedule. No big surprises there. Third Thursday of the month. Or third Tuesday. of the month.
Tuesday.
that
Yeah, that was a surprise.
That was a surprise.
Surprise for me.
What about the governance committee? Do we need to meet for the coming year? We haven't really done much with that committee.
Yeah, when we do the policy pieces, we'll have the
Yeah.
governance committee get together. We were gonna look at committees, but with the staff turnover and changes, it was not as much of a priority. It was sort of on my wish list of things to do, but didn't rise to the level that we had to get folks together on it.
Yeah, I think Nicole and I were also just kind of brainstorming the other day to kind of come up with a list of like 2025 governance initiatives we wanted to talk to you guys about, just policy updates, anything that we want to maybe tweak from a process perspective, and then some of the term issues.
And then the January, I'd like to have the board do a self-evaluation just to help us and inform on how you think things are going.
And it's legally required too, right?
Well, I didn't want to throw that. I didn't want to make it mandated. I was trying
Yeah.
to,
Just want to make sure nobody, thinks they can opt out of that one.
If anyone wants to do their conflict of interest forms earlier than March, by all means, please.
Sign me up.
Go
Let's
ahead.
get it out of the way.
We'll try to chase everybody down in January.
Yeah.
We'll start
to get that
those,
all
I think.
caught up.
We have to report to the ABO and.
ABO,
and
county.
What's the other one?
So we have an internal one,
Yeah.
the ABO response,
Yeah.
and then there's also the county conflict forms.
What's the
ABO is the
Paris, yeah.
Oh, a 990 for the 501c3, right?
Yes, but the accountants do
Yeah,
that.
that's easy.
That's the accountants, yeah. So I think, I don't know if you guys thought it worked well last year. I remember I brought paper copies in January or February so that everyone could, fill them out and then bring them back, and I'll bring my notary with me again to.
Yes, that worked.
To sign them at the next meeting.
And thank you to those who helped out with the adoptive family. Team's gonna wrap presents tomorrow. And the alliance down here in the economic development side, I like to say that we cover all of the community. We're on the ground at the neighborhood level, and the alliance is out working with the larger businesses. But we came together as a team to adopt a family this year, and so we have a good stack of gifts to wrap tomorrow. That's great news. All right.
Well, I'm happy to see Sam back again, and a smiling face for the new staff members. This is another key person of our board here.
Yep.
He always has a good question. But the other thing I keep harping on is Nita, because she's the one that's responsible for the pizza. She kept going to these meetings and say, how come there's no food
Oh, you're
here?
the reason why we got pizza?
Mhm.
Wow, thank you.
She spoke right up. She said, hey, what's this board meeting? No food.
I like that.
All the board meetings I go to, they have food.
It is an eligible expense when we are working during a meal period.
Okay, motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
So moved.
By saying aye, we're out of here.
Aye.
Welcome
I move
aboard,
that we
everybody.
adjourn by unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent.